Chris Avellone is a legend in game writing. He's the guy you called when you wanted your game to have deep, meaningful choices, and that's why Techland called him for Dying Light 2.
Hi, I'm Chris Avellone, and I'm excited to be working with Techland to create the world of Dying Light 2.
How can we forget this moment during E3 2018 event when Chris Avellone himself walked down the stage and announced Dying Light 2, a game for which he had a bold vision, a world where every decision mattered, factions that reacted to your choices, and a living, breathing city shaped by the player. But then there was something going on within the team which was compromising the vision of this game. Basically, Chris Avellone wanted to try something new by having less dialogues in the story but more of the systemic reactivity, which basically means the choices that you make in the game, the things you do in the world would have impact around everything. Impacts that are actually not scripted and are totally random for everyone. But Techland instead wanted to do an internally developed story, characters, and even reactivity would be scripted, meaning the impact of what you do in the world would already be scripted in the game. So Chris Avellone had about 5 or 6 Fallout New Vegas style reactive Dying Light 2 stories which he presented to Techland, but these stories were not approved. One of these stories started with Aiden's childhood, where he was living in a village with his father, and the story would go on to explain how he got infected and how his father was able to save his life. This is why during E3 2019, a year later after the game was announced, we saw a completely different looking game with a story that talked about Aiden's father and how our main protagonist is infected. But my friends, if you played the game, then you would know that there's actually no mention of Aiden's father in any part of the story. In fact, instead of just the protagonist being infected, it's now the whole world being infected. So it looks like there were multiple versions of Dying Light 2 which kept getting scrapped as the team was going through some troubles, which is also the reason why the game was delayed 3 times in total. But what actually happened to Chris Avellone? Why was he suddenly removed from Techland and all the other major projects? 19th June 2020. IGN made a tweet about an interview between Chris Avellone and Waleedoo's lead writer Emily Grace, and right below this post, a user named Carissa made a controversial comment saying,
"Zero interest in anything from a man who spent so much time preying on young women and getting them drunk and taking them to hotel rooms, showing up to panels late and wasted if all, and treating fans and fellow industry so badly. He was blacklisted from at least one big con."
Well, this tweet started blowing up and getting mixed reactions, where some were supporting her and some were literally against her. But then Carissa decided to follow up on that tweet and made about 17 tweets calling out Chris Avellone. Her first tweet said, "Here's another man to add to the gaming industry predator garbage pile," to which she followed with a few allegations saying she has witnessed and experienced his behavior firsthand, where according to her, Chris got her blackout drunk on Midori SARS. After this, he and 2 of his friends somehow got her back to her room, where according to her, Chris pounced on her in front of the other guys who few moments later left. And apparently one of them told her what they had witnessed the next evening. Basically, according to Carissa, when she woke up in the morning, she felt like someone had made out with her, and when she asked Chris Avellone about it, he refused. Plus, Carissa thinks the only reason why nothing happened that night was because she was on her periods. According to her, Chris Avellone the next day did the same thing with another girl who was younger than her, where he basically got her blackout drunk, and rest you know what happened. So all her tweets had these massive allegations, with her even claiming that she got Chris Avellone blacklisted from a convention, and how Chris never changed even after years, which is why he was also fired by his employer. And after this, Chris started working with other studios and different projects. Again, all this is according to her. Now after all these tweets, Chris Avellone was very silent, and he thought it's better to not ignite the flame even further and kept his silence. But then things started falling apart for Chris Avellone. June 23rd, 2020, a few days after these allegations were made, Techland released a public statement where they announced that they're ending their cooperation with Chris Avellone because of the allegations made against him. And what's even messed up is that right below that public statement, Carissa had replied by saying thank you. In fact, even the colleagues of Chris Avellone didn't support him during this phase of his life. And all of this thing got people really furious, because Chris Avellone was literally fired because of an allegation. Like, nothing that was said was proved, and there was literally no evidence supporting the claims made by Carissa. Yet companies jumped the gun and fired Chris Avellone. Now I'm going to be very honest with you, looking from a business point of view, I can understand why Techland would do that, because having someone in your company that has such a big allegation against him can really bring in bad PR to the company and the game they are working on. I mean, even though it sucks so bad, the reason why Techland did this was to be safe from the cancel culture, which at that time could have easily ruined the name of Techland or their game just because Chris was part of it. This is why Techland cut ties with him and even removed all his work. In fact, the next next day, two major studios dropped Chris Avellone from their project. But even though Chris was the one to suffer a lot during this phase, the projects he was removed of also faced major issues. Like for example, Dying Light 2, even after multiple delays, still came out unfinished with multiple bugs and game-breaking issues. And again, how can we forget the fact that this game literally had no cutscene for the ending? Like literally, they had a black screen with few text telling you what happened. And it was only months later that they added few cutscenes to explain the ending of this game. So yeah, one could say the team of Dying Light 2 lost their vision after they fired Chris Avellone. But one could also argue that even before Avellone was removed, they had a bad management problem which resulted in many developers leaving the project and calling it a total mess. This just proves how essential project management is, and without the right tools, everything can quickly fall apart. That's where today's sponsor, Odoo, comes in. The all-in-one business management platform designed to simplify your business operations. And with the help of Odoo's project management app, you can create a detailed dashboards with customized steps, milestones, tasks, and even subtasks to break down complex projects, which also makes it easy for you to assign responsible individuals, set deadlines, add tags, and even use statuses to organize and track progress. Plus, Odoo makes your life easier by giving you different view tabs so you can always be aware of what's happening. Like the Kanban view, which is a visual and intuitive drag and drop interface that lets you organize tasks into columns. Examples: to do, in progress, and done. It's really perfect for tracking progress at a glance. Then we have Gantt view, which is an ideal for scheduling, and this view provides a timeline-based layout that can help plan deadlines and dependencies between tasks. After this, we have the list view, which not only displays all the data you need but also lets you perform batch actions effortlessly. But the benefits don't stop here. With Odoo's project app, managing your workflow becomes even more seamless. You can simply centralize all your project information in one place, making it easy to send emails, tag colleagues, add notes, and even attach files directly to tasks using the chatter, which ensures seamless collaborations, allowing multiple team members to work on the same content in real time while also giving you full control over who can view and edit your project, whether they're internal or external users. So yeah, this is definitely your ultimate solution for business management. Plus, the best part is that your first Odoo application is completely free forever with unlimited hosting and support. Just simply click on the link in the description or from the pinned comment to start today. Now let's get back to our main topic, where Chris Avellone, after being dropped by the studios, decided to file a libel lawsuit in 2021, a year later after the accusations made against him. But my friends, during this time, another person named Kelly had come up and accused Chris of making inappropriate advances and groping her at different events. But you know, there's a saying, the truth always prevails. The same happened in this case, where more people started showing up in Chris Avellone's support, and because of that, both of these accusers were exposed. Like literally, there was one of the tweets from Carissa that went viral where she was talking about never experiencing any form of harassment, saying she has no story of her that involves abuse or harassment. And if you look properly, this tweet was made in 2014, but according to her allegations, Chris had assaulted her in 2012. So if Chris Avellone really did what she says in 2012, then why 2 years later she says she has never experienced any abuse or harassment? Yeah, that's weird, right? But it was all just getting started as more of her private messages started coming out, where Carissa was speaking to a friend about Chris Avellone, where it can be clearly seen that she was totally into Chris. And also, according to a lot of people, she was seeking a relationship with him. Plus, even months after the supposed assault happened, she was in a podcast with Chris Avellone where she was so happy and was calling Chris a wonderful creature and thanked him for coming to this little podcast.
Chris Avellone, you wonderful creature.
Aww.
Thank you for coming on to our little podcast and everything, and spending so much time with us, and you're pretty awesome.
Now you know how much of a big scam this really was. The cancel culture really destroyed the life of a legendary writer. Yes, I'm blaming the cancel culture because the court of public opinion acts faster than the legal system, where sometimes the damage is done long before the truth even comes out. The same happened in Chris Avellone's case. But hold on, because there's actually a happy ending to this nightmare, as in March of 2023, Chris Avellone officially won the legal battle that lasted 2 years. And during this court case, both the accusers gave their final statement saying Mr. Avellone never sexually abused either of us, and we never intended to support that he had. Our words were misinterpreted and taken out of context. Like seriously, I don't think anyone took it out of context. The tweets clearly portrayed him as a predator preying on young girls. And what's even crazy is now these two people are putting blame on the general audience that literally supported these accusers for years and destroyed the life of an innocent person who is Chris Avellone. Now, Chris Avellone cannot get those years back. The nightmares, the stress he must have felt during those years cannot be healed. Even this court case verdict was definitely a relief because now he has cleared his name from this accusation and even got a 7-figure payment to cover his legal fees. But did the accusers get any backlash? No, I don't think so. Like, they faced no consequences to their actions that led to so much pain to an innocent person. They nearly destroyed Chris Avallone's life, he lost all the contracts with major game studios, he was blacklisted from the gaming industry, his reputation was ruined overnight, and doesn't matter what anyone does or says, his career will always be affected because of this. I say that because regardless of him winning the case and proving his innocence, people will still look at him as someone who was accused of SA. And you know what's crazy? Still some people will never believe that he is innocent. That's why even today he's still rebuilding what was taken from him. But the big question still remains, will the gaming industry learn from this or will the history repeat itself? Honestly, God knows what will happen. But what I would really hope for is that the company that dropped him during that time gives him another chance. Because he's innocent and he deserves that respect that he once had in this community. I also hope Techland involves him in their future project because he's really a good writer and that would just benefit them. Also, everyone watching this video, please reach out to Chris Avellone on Twitter and show him your support. That's honestly the least we could do. Also, you guys remember this Dying Light 2 E3 2018 demo, right? Well, I'm the project director at Renaissance team who's actually working on restoring the E3 2018 version of Dying Light 2. And what's crazy is so far we've already made some parts of the map and are making smooth progress. Also, our goal is to restore the Elysium map with everything that was part of E3 2018 version of the game. I also think it will be cool to showcase our work to Chris Avellone himself. So I'll be doing my best to contact him on Twitter so we can show him this map and the progress we have made. Until then, thank you for watching and I'll see you guys in my next video. And while you guys wait for my next video, go show some love to Chris Avellone. His Twitter link will be in the description. Goodbye.